All right then, showtime, finally. Apologize for the little delay. It's expectable when you're doing live events. This one was pretty hard for Singapore standards, so all of apologize, but we hope that's going to be worth your time. I'm Julian, one of the Xoogler. I left the company 10 years ago, so it's funny to be still tied back there. I never actually worked in this office. I worked in Europe and in Latin America. And so I'm kind of getting my way in there, but with no chance to return. So that's not clinging. And I have my co-host today, Emily.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily. I'm also proud to be part of the Xoogler community. So I was from Google Cloud. So I was from the Asia Square office, moved to this office in 2017. So I left in 2017. So right now I'm kind of helping with the team, with Xooglers, and supporting the Xoogler community.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the Xoogler community, I understand a lot of you have never worked at Google. This is not something to be ashamed of, at the contrary, but the Xoogler community is the Google alumni, basically. It's a community of 28,000 people and counting. And so it's all over the world, and we organize those demo days every now and then, trying to do it at least once a year. There's one in APAC right now. There's one in the Silicon Valley happening very soon as well, and there's one in Europe usually most years. And so we're trying to keep it down. And I'll tell you more about what's coming up afterwards as well. We'll start with huge thanks.
Yep. So we will start with a few introduction from 3 different teams, 2 of them from Google. One is the Google for Developers, followed by Google Cloud. I'm pretty sure you know who they are. And the next one will be DoIt, a company that is close to Julian's heart, one of the established startups here.
And so I'll give the mic to Bok, one of our hosts today. But before that, thank you so much, guys, for having us at Google, for hosting us. Thanks to them, we'll have not a Thanks Google, it's Friday, but Thanks Google, it's Thursday. So we'll have a happy hour thanks to the team of Google Cloud and the team from DoIt. So stick around after the event. But thanks so much for having us. And Bok, if you wouldn't like to do the honor, please join us.
Hi everybody, my name is Bok. I'm from the Google for Developers team, and our team looks at ecosystem building efforts, supporting startups, supporting developers. Very excited to be able to have this chance to host everybody here today. Hopefully you have a good time. I know Julian and his team worked really hard to be able to put this together. So be at home, be yourself, mingle, network, and thank you so much to allow us to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Next, we will have someone to speak from the Google Cloud team. Her name is Esna, so I would like to let her present and take over now.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So happy to see you all today. So I come from the Google Cloud Startups team. My name is Esna. Firstly, congratulations to all the startups here today pitching. I'm sure that there were many fantastic choices, and today is really your time to really network with all the good people here today. So I represent a wider team. We are made up of customer engineers, program managers, and territory managers as well. So together, we are really here to build up the startup ecosystem. So very happy to be a part of this today. And some of you may remember our backstory. Google was once upon a time founded in a basement by 2 PhD students. And now we're really happy to kind of expand that ecosystem. And these are just some of the names that we're supporting here today. And we hope to include many more of you moving forward. So really, why Google? We are very proud to be the most comprehensive ecosystem of solutions that we can offer to startups. I'm sure some of you may be super familiar. You may use maybe 5 to 6 of this in your daily life. And we want to make sure that startups are continuing to leverage all of this, fully. And also something that we love talking about nowadays that we just want to give, a bit of a teaser. So generative AI is really the flavor of the season, right? And we have been the market leader for a long time. And I just want to encourage you to keep a lookout for all the Gen AI solutions that are coming out, including Imagine. So this is already out in GA, where you can be doing text to image and soon text to video as well. So all these are coming out super fast and furious on a weekly basis right now. And quick show of hands, anybody heard of the cloud program before? The Google for Startups cloud program? Okay, so about half the room. So we try to keep on, driving awareness of this so that in a few months' time when we ask, hopefully the whole room raises their hands. So if you're not aware, we do give out credits to our startup. So we have 2K in credits to bootstrap startups. The eligibility criteria is there, and also up to 350,000 to venture-backed startups. Especially those who are AI first. So for more criteria, you can check out the links there. And we're also very happy to provide business support and technical support to your startups as well. I know there's a lot of VCs here. So if your portfolio companies are not already signed up for it, do encourage to find out more. And you can always look for me at the end of the session today. So yeah, just a quick sharing about our generative AI heads up on that, and also on the cloud program today, if you can let your startups know about it. So thank you so much. And I think next up we have the Do It team, who we work very closely with as well to support our startups.
Yeah, so I would like to have Munjal from Do It to present a little bit about his company.
Hello, thank you everyone. Thank you, Julian and the Xoogler team. This is Munjal here. I'm a Xoogler as well. And right now I'm working with Do It. Do It is a startup working for startups and with startups, along with Google, Google Cloud as a partner. Now, oftentimes you know that somebody wearing a jacket sponsoring an event is here to sell. So the good part is that I'm not here to sell. The primary reason that I'm not here to sell is Do It has a zero cost model and a zero risk model. It's a very interesting startup. We don't charge you as startups or founders who are recommending their startups to use us as a partner. We don't charge a single dollar to you. So everything that we offer is completely $0 for you. We have a partnership with Google, and we make money out of that. So the engineers, the tech platform, the FinOps, the cloud optimization that we offer to the startups so that they can save money, use the cloud in an optimized way so that they can reinvest that money into product development, into GTM activities. That all can happen if you have Do It as a partner with you. It's an Israeli company set up 10 years back. It's not a professional services company. We don't provide bodies to solve your problems. We do have certified engineers, 300 plus, who provide you 24/7 support, who also give you advisory and consulting services. But everything is given to you at zero cost, no lock-ins, and no risks. It's not a scam. Nobody's calling you to say that sign up and I'll take your credit card, but it's literally no cost. The part where we proud ourselves is providing you a live dashboard even on the support stats globally. When a ticket is logged with us, normally we respond within 40 minutes with a meaningful response. All these stats are there, given to you again at zero cost. Engineers certified, so you are getting an expert advisory and consultancy, almost like an Accenture or a KPMG of the tech, but no cost to you. And that's why we are different, and that's why the name also is very interesting, is Just Do It. Just is taken out, so it's Do It. And because the Xoogler community has been amazing, we just wanted to flash this out today. Anyone who registers their interest, expresses that we should be their partner, these are the promos that we are running. We will be providing 10% off your cloud bill for the first 3 months. If you are a Xoogler-backed startup, you will get 5% off from the 4th month onwards for the whole year. And if you are not a Xoogler-backed or you're not Xoogler, we still have something. Take the QR, register your interest today, and you can still enjoy the benefits. So that's it from our side. Thanks a lot, Julian. Thanks a lot, Emily, and the Xoogler team.
Thanks a lot. I actually need to change the slides. Emily.
Okay. So next up, we are going to talk about how we're going to engage on the demo day. Okay. So the rules of engagement. I think I'll let Julian talk about it, and then we'll have a very exciting line of startups that are just waiting to kind of pitch to you today.
Thanks. And yeah, we wanted to keep it short on the advertising messages, but obviously we brought people that we think have a lot of value to add to the startup, so that's why as well we wanted to have Google Cloud talking to you and the team of Do It. And thank you guys as well, like for allowing us to do this event. And Milan, you have to be pointed out for being so late. That's a shame, really. But thank you so much for joining us today. We have a really good jury today. We're very glad. So thank you, all of you. I'm taking the cue to thank you in person to be here. So it's not I said a jury, but it's actually a panel. We want you guys to be the first to give feedback and to ask the tough questions to the startups. And I'll get there in a bit, but that's really important. So today we're going to have, that's why we're all here. We want to see those startups presenting. This is a relationship building event. We want them to succeed. We want you to succeed. We want you to have really good flows. They're going to have 5 minutes to present and 10 minutes for question. Reason for that, because it's kind of easy to present your startup. It's more interesting to dive into the questions, so we wanted to leave more time for that. You guys will have the priority on the questions, so we'll leave you ask the first question. If we have other questions in the room, you'll be very welcome to ask them, and of course we'll have some more time after that. After all the startups, you'll have a QR code at the very end. Of course, I encourage you to mingle with the startups and get the contact directly. But in case you have to run away, or in case you just want a blast to get the connection to those guys, you'll have just a very simple Google form where you can say, like, I want to get in touch with those guys, and we'll put you in touch, and then we'll get out of the way because that's between you and them. But we'll make everything that we can so that you guys get the good conversation, and you can actually, you guys can raise money, the startups. So you've seen like have 3 tables over there, 4 tables over there. You can go and visit them. You can see their demo as well after they pitched. We're really doing that so that those startups can actually make a dent, right? So visit them, and of course stay for TGIF. There's a full room of investors, business angels, very interesting people. I know quite a few of you. Annabelle has brought an amazing pool of investors as well, so do take the time to know each other as well. You're not going to regret it. As I started to say it earlier, this is a community, right? Like, so Xoogler is a community, it's not a sect, so we don't stay between us. Of course, we wanted to give priority to Xoogler founders, but all of you are here as well because we think there's value in mixing that community. Chris, who founded that network, is actually online with us. He's from Palo Alto, and he's got so enthusiastic about this whole community that he's actually decided to launch his startup on this thing. So check out Blueprint. It's already too late to invest. They're oversubscribed, but they just tried their first round to kind of like organize those kind of communities. You'll see more of it in the next few weeks, but so that we can actually bring more communities in the room as well and do cross-pollination, right? So feedback is a gift that I was saying. We're going to be using today something called Mentimeter that was brought by one of our volunteers as well, Richard over there. So I'd like you to try and use that QR code right now. You're going to have to scan it once and then that's done. What it's going to do, it's going to get you asking some, it's going to ask you some questions. So I'll put you on the screen if you want. Sorry for that. All right. So what you'll see a question on the screen. If it doesn't work with the QR code, you can just use go to the website and enter the code. We'll do a couple of questions so that you understand how it works. I think the first one is about how excited you are about the event. Does it work, Rich? No, it doesn't work? Yeah, it's working. All right. So how excited are you to be here today? That should be the first question. And then there's another question coming up. Right. So as you see, you'll have to wait until we go to the next question to move. So that's why I wanted to have 2 questions. When shall we start the event? Right now, right now, right now, right now. So you see how it works. It's pretty easy. Just for your information, that's how it's going to work. We're not going to show those results. What we want to do is we want to give like some feedback to the startup. So even if some of them don't raise money today, at least they have an idea of like maybe what went wrong or what they should be working on, right? It's all early stage. We're always learning, and so getting a little bit of a feedback and a little bit of the zeitgeist from the crowd is going to be useful for them, and that's what we wanted to try out here. So we're trying this. Okay, cool. Can you get back on the screen so that we can move the? Yeah. All right. Cool. So without further ado, last element of information. Sorry.
Yep. So there's one person here that is part of our volunteer committee that's very important for you to know. She is called Annabelle. So she is the one who has connected all the investors in this room together to come for this demo day, right? So For this demo day, this is just the starting point for these startups, right? So we have 8 startups in total, but 1 pulled out, so we have 7 startups today. And this is just the starting point. We are going to be able to have Annabelle continue this interaction so that we will have further, like, other events from coaching to mentoring to acceleration programs that we will organize after the demo day. So perhaps just keep her close, start chatting with her, and then, I guess you have her email, and then, from there, we will connect you with the right startups.
So Annabelle probably knows already half of the room, but keep her close, yeah. A lot of deal flow for you guys and a lot more startups. There was 8 selected today. As Amy said, there was one that pulled out, actually pivoted their fundraising strategy, so that wasn't making sense for them to come over today. But they will be raising in the future, and there was probably as many startups who wanted to participate, but were not as ready, and so they're going to come in the next few weeks, right? So keep in touch, and we'll have more. So now, without further ado, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Pun intended. Thanks, Munjal, again.
So,
and we're going to call? Yeah?
So we're going to call our first startup to do their pitch. And this startup is called DesignPro. The presenter is Murad Akhtar. So the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. So we're DesignPro, and our mission is to 10x product design for the modern enterprise. Sorry, how do you go to the next slide? No worries. It's the benefit of going first. All the technical issues tend to happen then. All right, so I'll say it again. So we're DesignPro, and our mission is to 10x product design for the modern enterprise. So the team is founded by 2 co-founders. Myself, I'm Murad Akhtar, and my co-founder is Mohammed Abdul Kareem. So we both know each other for 20 years. We were roommates at Stanford and then collaborated on many things together. We have had product development experience working on products like macOS 10 and Siri and Google AdWords. We both have a very strong interest in design as well. I was part of the HCI program, and Mo did the D-School coursework at Stanford as well. Another thing to point out, we've gone through exits as well, so we know how to build great product teams and take them all the way to a successful exit. He worked at Misfit and Siri, and both of them went through the exit. So what we noticed working at different product companies was that one of the biggest challenges teams face is how to prioritize the work they should do, how to decide what is the most important feature for their customers, and then how to use best practices in their projects. The CEOs and the founders of companies like Amazon, Scribe, Google have all mentioned the importance of customer feedback in achieving success for their companies. And Google, Mo, when he was working at Google, led the Trusted Tester program, which allowed Google to test products before they were launched and gather qualitative feedback from real users, and then decide which projects to launch and which changes to make in them. And so that insight is something we've then carried through in DesignPro as well. Unfortunately, the vast majority of software projects tend to fail. That's close to 65%. And one of the biggest reasons for that is not being able to align with what is the real stakeholder priority. And the reason why that happens is because teams have a very hard time getting clarity on what are the actionable tasks they should do. There's a lot of feedback that they can get, but then what is the feedback that's important? Which are the customer insights they should actually focus on, and what are the best practices they should follow? So what is the fix for this? So we think of this as doing something like Figma for the average person, which allowed anyone to do design. We think that DesignPro can, in a similar vein, help designers become good at achieving business outcomes. And how we do that is by integrating with the tools they use today to manage their tasks and their workflows. So how does the product actually work? So we actually have built an AI product coach. It's a co-pilot that helps product teams manage their work. We can actually synthesize and collect qualitative feedback from things like comments left in Figma, from transcripts of Loom and Zoom conversations, from Slack channel conversations. And using those as input, we feed them to a large language model. We also have a corpus of UI, UX, and best practices we have collected to do prompt engineering and generate tasks for these teams. These are prioritized, labeled. They actually have insights that are attached, and you can link to the Figma files or the conversations where those ideas originated for context. The AI product coach is also able to ingest design files. So from that, we can then analyze the design, and we can give feedback on the actual design itself. This includes how to modify the design to help achieve better business outcomes. And these are left as recommendations for the designers to implement rather than as design assets themselves, because designers tend to want to have control over that process. So we've generated this and done a beta, a private beta, and tested our product with different design teams at SMBs and had great feedback from them. So this includes people who have worked at Uber, Netflix, and LinkedIn. And they generally have told us that this tool they feel can help them save about 25% of the time they spend managing this feedback and gathering it and prioritizing it and also scaling it. Our market is fairly large. We believe that our starter and our pro tier markets are about, the total addressable market's about anywhere between 16 billion to 38 billion. We're raising a 1 million pre-seed, out of which we have already 720,000 in the bank. And yeah, so we're here for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Murad. Next, we have the startup called Kumi Analytics, and the presenter is Clinton Libby.
So in the meantime, we're gonna do the Mentimeter. Just take a minute while we.
Q&A at the end.
No, we have Q&A actually, Amy. We have the Q&A.
Okay.
Do you have any question for DesignPro?
Sorry, can you describe the business model? Is it a SaaS business, seat-based or whatnot?
So it's a subscription model. Per user, we charge $15, and that's for the starter tier. So we have 3 tiers. There's a free tier to onboard, there's a starter tier, and then there's a pro tier. The pro tier does more integrations with more tools and allows larger teams to work on the product. So the average size for a year for a 15 to 20 person product team for us in terms of business is about $3,000 a year.
So it's a middleware, and it essentially integrates all the tools that a designer would use. It gives you like prompts to induce better design choices.
Yeah, so the prompts are auto-generated because we have to not just get the conversations analyzed, but we also have to generate them a certain way, which actually requires not just processing one input and output, but then also doing a series of those over a specific sequence. Yeah, sorry.
Very interesting space. Thanks, Murad. Tell me how are product managers managing this problem before this came about? That's one. And second, it's in the 15 to 20% time that you save for them. What is the product actually doing, and how much of it is AI?
Right. So currently, a lot of the feedback is left by different stakeholders in different places. So product managers might receive input on Slack channels. Designers might receive input and comments left on Figma, sometimes over email. So they're all different channels where the conversations are happening. And the project manager will tend to either create issues or tasks by talking to different people or by being on those channels, and then manually going in and entering all of those. So all of the time is saved here. And then also a lot of these tend to also be grouped according to roadmap, according to the specific updates you have planned. So they have to be prioritized on a timeline. And so that all of that work has to be done manually as well. So this tool, on the other hand, can automate all of that and can help you, manage the allocation of these tasks to different people more seamlessly. You can also have very small teams manage this on their own, so you don't need to have a project manager on those smaller projects if you allow the designer to use this themselves. Yeah.
Any other question?
Maybe just to follow up on that question. So the generative AI that you've created, is that more to summarize all the different inputs, or does it actually add value, like more value in terms of if there's conflicting opinions, because everyone's entitled to their own opinion?
Right.
Isn't that where the secret sauce really is?
Yeah, so it's actually the latter, like you just pointed out. So there's conflicting feedback, which you then have to prioritize according to who is giving feedback, as well as what is the product vision. So if you have a PRD, which describes what the product does. So we actually synthesize all of those sources to generate what should be the task. We don't take just the feedback itself and generate the task. We also have a corpus of best practices which we use as input. So those are also used to filter out suggestions and make recommendations.
But then what's the data input into your algo to be able to understand those kinds of nuances, like seniority of a person?
So the data input for a design team would be not just the seniority and the information like that, but it's who has been giving feedback. So for example, a lot of the scenarios in which you get feedback is a design critique, which is done by a senior designer. And that's actually a workflow designers will follow. And so in that scenario, their feedback is taken as very important and as critical. Then there's feedback that you might get from a larger team in which the feedback is expected to vary and be inconsistent. And so we use those as inputs. We don't ask you to input that information separately. It's just the workflows you are following. So if you're doing a critique, then we assume that the people who are on the critique, their input is more important and should be taken at face value. We also look at if it's conflicting with best practices or not. So we're looking at all of those as variables. Yeah.
One question around the third-party tool integrations. I suppose one challenge for your go-to-market is that it has to fit into the existing workflows of companies that are going to use your tool. And you showed earlier that you can take inputs from Figma and other tools, and I'm guessing input is easier because you can scrape, or there's different ways of getting the information. But what about output? Like, can you feed directly into Jira, and how do you deal with that, or how do you look at different product team workflows?
Yeah, so output is generally not that difficult. It's similarly, defined. A lot of these tools have integrations with Zapier, and so they've already built in APIs that allow them to ingest tasks. As well as fetch information when the task status changes. So that's already, that layer is already done for most of them. We're also targeting the ones that are more important or more commonly used by the design teams, which tend to be a few, not all of them, obviously. Yeah.
And I mean, so that works. A layman can integrate that. So somebody who they don't have to.
So we also have our own implementation of a Kanban board. So if you don't want to use an existing solution, you can even use our built-in Kanban board.
Or you can feed it into Trello or Jira or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyone else with any question? Maybe on the floor?
Sorry, maybe just a quick question.
Right.
Right? Just want to find out more. Can you just elaborate further on the customer persona that you're going after? Because I mean, it's a great solution for the product teams, right? But to a certain extent, like the small ones, they don't really need something like that. Then the big product team, maybe they have something that's built internally. to actually automate some of these workflows itself. Just wanted to find out who are you going after and which particular market as well.
Yeah, so we've been focused primarily on having conversations with design agencies and design teams that are a certain size, so about 15 or so, which tend to be SMBs. There's no industry specifically, but most of them tend to work on software products themselves. So, often SaaS businesses.
Hi, I have a question. So,
right there. Go ahead.
products have very unique context, right? Let's take example, assume you're building Twitter, right? Or you're building Google Maps. Without actually understanding the nuances of the domain, how does your platform work? Or how do you train it then to understand the product?
Right. So we obviously taken as input whatever your team is currently producing to manage that design process. So if they have a product requirements document, we ingest that, as well as the conversations the team is having. So not just the latest message, but also the conversation thread, which typically will have some context about what problem is, what the solution is being targeted, who it's for, that kind of information. We're not trying to advise you on how to build the best product, but we're just trying to synthesize what is already present in those channels.
Another question? Right. Cool. We're almost on time anyway, so we'll wrap it up.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Murat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Murat. So next we will have Kumi Analytics, and the presenter is Clinton.
So just before we do that, take a minute, feedback, while Clinton gets in place, and we'll switch your question one after the other. Okay, you can vote now normally. Next question. All right. Last question. Last question. 3, 2, 1. All right. Yeah. Answer for the last question right now. Maybe it's not. Okay. All right. You can go. Thank you. Good, Clinton. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Clinton Libby with Kumi Analytics, and thank you all for coming today. And special thanks to the Xoogler team, the DoIT team, and Google Cloud. It's really fantastic. It's a great opportunity. So a little bit about Kumi Analytics. We are focused on integrating satellite imagery and machine learning in order to provide insights into the environment, and specifically focused on the carbon markets. And if you look at the, how's this thing, it's not, okay. If you look at the voluntary carbon markets, there's a bit of a supply squeeze happening, where you have a lot of companies making net zero commitments, and there's very limited supply. The supply that's out there is actually starting to decrease because companies are starting to retire those credits. So what's happening is we're having a squeeze on the supply of carbon offsets in the marketplace. And what's interesting about that is it's really tied to the way that they're produced currently, the way that they have been produced for the last 15 years or so. And the task force for scaling voluntary carbon offsets has said that we need to increase the volume of production by 15 times in order to meet our target goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius in addressing climate change. And what's happening, the reason why it's so time-consuming and difficult to actually, for a developer to get their product to market, is a series of problems. First, it's labor-intensive. They have people literally going into the fields with tape measures, measuring trees, and repeating that process over and over again. Secondly, the time to get that product to market takes anywhere from 12 to 36 months or more. And 36 months is actually more like the average. And the third thing is that they're very expensive. The entire process, it's one report after the other in order to do this. And it's all manual. It's not, they have not leveraged technology. As a result, investors are frustrated because they only get to see their returns once every couple of years. And that's not the best thing for any type of investment. You want to see at least annual returns. So what we're doing is we're basically creating a new approach for this, and we partnered with Oxford University and established a methodology that the Oxford then endorsed as part of a spin-off called OxCarbon. And what we do is we're similar to the last presenter, we have 10x thinking. It comes from our Google heritage. 10 times faster, 10 times more accurate, and 1/10 the cost. It's all about having a magnitude, an improvement in an order of magnitude. And so we're already 10 times faster. We can do a project in 3 months or less. We're already able to deliver the offsets at 1/10 of the price, and we're also more accurate, but we're still always working to continue to improve accuracy, and we're going to do that further and further as we further develop our models. Okay, the market. I'm sure all of you have heard of carbon offsets. It's been very a popular thing lately. A lot of people are paying attention to it just based on the situation in the global climate. This estimate of $50 billion is in 2030 is by Bain and Temasek. And we're focused on a segment of that, which is the project development, monitoring, reporting, and verification segment. There are other estimates out there, for example, by McKinsey, saying it's a $100 billion market by 2030. So we're going with the conservative estimate right now, but it's a nice market, it's a good size, and it's going to continue to grow. We're actively in the market. We have customers. We're generating revenues. And right now we have a project in Indonesia. It's about 220K annual revenue, US dollars. And as it's growing, it's right now 8,000 hectares. It's going to grow to 25,000 hectares, up to about 625K a year. And this is annual. These are all annual numbers. We also have a project in Australia, which is with one of the top 3 largest banks in Australia, and that's another 360K annual run rate. Other strong pipeline, we have projects in the Philippines, Singapore, Mongolia, Cambodia, another one in Australia, Senegal, and actually we just have another one that's huge. It's 4 million hectares in Ethiopia, and that's also moving forward, and another one in Zanzibar. So there's definitely a strong pipeline and a lot of opportunities coming. As I'm sure you know, a lot of people are starting to pay attention to this market now, just based on the situation globally. Team, that's me. I'm sure you recognize me. I'm the former Googler in the bunch. 30 years in the satellite industry, and then basically Monk Swan, he's also here. About 20 years in deep learning and machine learning, and has 11 patents, and also in neural networks, a PhD in neural networks. Chris is also here in finance, mergers and acquisitions, and I'm running out of time. We're raising money, and want to continue to deliver on the pipeline. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clinton. We're going to take the questions.
Yes.
When you say, thank you very much for the presentation. When you say launch a project specifically on finding and measuring through these technologies, what does that entail? Like, what's the timeline from T0 to whatever? How many people does it take to actually deploy it? What is the ongoing kind of cost streams and revenue streams that are generated from it?
On our side, or for a project developer?
For like when you say you're working on one project to launch, and essentially, I guess your analytics allow you to measure it, and they use that for monetization. That whole process, like, what does it take in terms of time, human resources,
Sure.
and whatnot?
So most of the time, we're actually waiting, to be quite frank. the first thing that will happen is they'll provide us with an area that the project covers. We will then generate in a day or two a collection plan where we then task people to go out and collect certain ground samples, and we also simultaneously would task several satellites to collect data at the same time. And then it takes about a couple weeks while we wait for the data to come back. Once that happens, it's really a function of loading it into our system. It's about a couple days or a week of processing the data, fine-tuning the models, validating the results, and then from there it goes to report generation. So overall, the entire timeline is about 2 months.
So when you compare that to the traditional way of finding carbon offset geographies and whatnot, how much efficiency is gained by utilizing satellite technology and all that?
So the typical project will take at least 3 years before they'll get to where we get in about 3 months. Yeah.
So you're saying that a lot of these analytics that you're building out essentially cuts it by a significant amount. Right?
Yeah, our target is 10 times faster.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Next question. Okay, we can break the rules.
Sorry, I don't quite understand. The whole process of project development, are you involved in the pre-DD time period, or are you, all the way up to the issuance of the credits, and you have to have still Vera to come verify after you do all your satellite mapping, right?
So one of the methodology that we developed was approved by Oxcarbon, which is different than Vera. So there are a few different standards out there. And we have tools that you can leverage Vera as well, but Vera is very much based on that approach of really relying on a lot of field-based studies. But to answer your question, what we do, all of the timeline is a pre-feasibility, feasibility, and a PDD. We're in the space segment, so we're measuring the carbon. There's a series of community activities where you're doing benefit sharing with the communities. That's where an on-the-ground partner would also contribute. So typically there's going to be an on-the-ground NGO that's working in the communities, and typically they'll have a certain percentage of the projects will go towards schools or roads or sustainable food supplies. All that piece, along with ours, all gets combined into the PDD.
Right, I understand, but have credits been actually issued after 3 months because of your work?
So the baseline is 3 months. So the first line is 3 months, and then we start the cycle again a year later, and then there's the issuance. So we've issued 200,000, well, as a result of our technology, Oxcarbon issued 200,000 tons of carbon just, I guess, 6 months ago, and that project is sold out. That's the one that I mentioned earlier. And we're getting ready to do a follow-on right now for the second year.
And how do you, roughly how do margins look like after your labor cost, third party, I don't know if you have to pay for the satellites or if you get it from government for free. My father works at the German Space Center, so I have a little bit of exposure. And also, I guess, server costs to process the data, roughly what does that look like? Do you have an idea already?
We do everything on Google Cloud. It's the best cloud. It's cost effective. So we have good margins, and that's one of the reasons why we're able to get down to 1/10 the cost. So the satellite data, typically we will buy Japanese data. We buy Japanese radar data. We get free European data sets as well. Sentinel, and then we also will buy U.S. Optical data sets. We tend to, having been in the satellite imagery industry, I'm a big believer in working with very stable, reliable platforms. So there are other satellites out there that have data, but the positional and the absolute accuracy of the satellite's not that great. Sort of like pointing here, you're not really sure what you're looking at, and can cause problems with machine learning models. So we tend to go for some of the premium data sets. But it's still, I can talk to you.
I mean, how much, just to be specific, how much data do you have on margin so far? Do you roughly know, do you generate, I mean, from $100,000 worth of revenue, how much goes to COGS, roughly, in such a project?
In terms of labor as well?
Everything, all COGS, labor,
I have a full
overheads.
spreadsheet of all of that. I could show you, and we could pick this, because it really varies, depends on the size of the project, and and the price that we sell it at. But for example, I mean, if let's say we're talking about 100,000 or 20, the project had 25,000 hectares. It's at about 60 to 70% gross profit margin, including the labor to do the work. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
So, if I understand correctly, you guys go to the end customer who wants to issue carbon credits, and you provide a full end-to-end solution and a commitment that I will get this carbon credit verified, and then go about doing your derivatives and all the other TAM that you mentioned.
That's right. Yeah.
Given that, and realizing that it is labor intensive, and there are other issues in terms of potentially greenwashing and everything else, why were you not thinking of potentially just being the analytics layer only and empowering the more traditional guys, the ones who are taking 3 years, and just providing them a software or analytics solution rather than going end to end?
So we don't do the issuance, right? So Ox Carbon, which is a spin-off from the University of Oxford University Innovation, they actually issue the offset. They're a nonprofit. We provided them with the methodology and proposed that to them. We had a series of scientific reviews. They have a panel of environmental scientists. They have another guy from MIT with a machine learning expert. There's a mangrove expert on the panel. There's a variety of scientists that we engaged with back and forth on the methodology. And so what happens is they say, we want to do this. A lot of people are really tired with Vera, to be quite honest. Vera is, if you've seen the scandals, there's a lot of really negative things about that, where people buy offsets and they find out the forest has been cleared. And so we measure every square meter of the project. So we don't just measure one little plot and then extrapolate the values. We measure every square meter of the project through the satellite imagery, and we stack multiple SAR bands, SAR data sets together, along with multispectral data. And then from there, we generate that report. They engage us, we generate the report. We don't give them a chance to go back and forth on it, and we submit that to Ox Carbon. Ox Carbon then will review the report and then do an issuance, and then it goes into the S&P Global IHS market registry to avoid double counting. So that's sort of the process. Like, the customer will come to us, and so for example, I mentioned the thing in Ethiopia. There's an issue right now with coffee in Europe. If you have unshaded coffee, if you cut down the forests and planted a bunch of coffee crops, a coffee finca, you can't sell that coffee to Europe now. So Ethiopia's economy is very much dependent on coffee, and so the Ethiopian Coffee Association we're working jointly with them and an on-the-ground project developer to basically plant trees, measure all the carbon, and that's going to finance to make the coffee shaded, and then they can sell their coffee to Europe again.
One last question, quick one. From the panel, out there. Thanks, Amy. Wait a second, we can't hear you. The mic is coming.
So my question is, how does your pricing model work? Right? So you mentioned, you started with that the credits prices are going up. So would that impact your pricing, and what percentage of their revenue is your pricing?
So this is one of those things where actually we've been going back and forth. But right now we're purely priced on per hectare. So we base it on the area, the size of the area, because that's really how our cost model is driven. We are avoiding the take a percentage of the offsets, because that would create a conflict of interest where we then issue, we would be incentivized. Not that I would do that, but integrity is our #1 corporate value. But not basically the perception in the market would be, if you're verifying it and you're basically saying how much carbon it is and you get a percentage, then you're conflicted. So we're avoiding that completely, and we just do it purely based on the area, size of the area.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Clinton. Ask you to go on Mentimeter. Again, you don't have to scan the QR code every time. You can just stay on it. And we're going to go for the first question right now. So you can vote for the first question. Hold on to come back. Hold on. this is not break time, so don't get your hope too strong yet. But we're getting there. Okay, first question for Kumi Analytics. Please vote now. Quickly. Right. Second question. Right. We have more than 50 people connected on that. All right. Last question. You should see how profitable could be Kumi Analytics become. And all right, we're going to close the survey. Thank you. And we're going to go to, so not to the break yet, but we're going to give you a little snack so that you can wait.
So the next startup, all the way from Philippines, is Snack, and the presenter is Silas Reyes.
Hi everyone, my name is Silas and I'm building Snack. Snack is a self-service event ticketing and management system. Think of it of like just similar to Eventbrite. So the problem that I'm trying to solve is current global ticketing platforms often default to high fees. They tend to be this one-size-fits-all. But we know that we have unique needs in a diverse Southeast Asia and APAC market. Some of these needs are local payments, currencies, localized content, local support, strong fraud protection, more reliable systems. Solution is Snack. We'll set the standard for event ticketing in Southeast Asia and APAC. And we'll do this with region-specific pricing, competitive transaction fees, popular local payment methods, proper localization, local support, and ensure trust, security, and reliability. We're going to shape the future of event ticketing in this region, and we hope you'll join us. This market is set to reach almost 100 billion by 2028. More importantly, Asia Pacific is the fastest growing market in event ticketing. This year alone, it's set to reach 18 billion in revenue. But by 2027, Asia Pacific will more than double North America and Europe in terms of the number of users. That's close to 400 million. What's driving this growth is a rise in disposable income of consumers, growing popularity of live entertainment, and an increase in urbanization in our region. This is our business model. It's pretty straightforward. The left is Eventbrite for comparison. Ours, we just charge 4% fee for every ticket sold. Free events will always be free. Our go-to-market, we want to go after the first two quadrants, which are the community events, the conferences, and conventions. But eventually, we also want to go after the arena events, your big-name ticket concerts and sports. Our mission statement, we believe that purchasing a ticket is not just a transaction, but an investment in unforgettable experiences regardless of your country. We want to revolutionize event ticketing in Southeast Asia and APAC. We'll do this through innovation, world-class user experience, and combined with local insights. We enable anyone to create digital tickets for events that fuel their passion. The first version of our product is live, snacktix.io. And we have a little bit of traction from three organizers. Geek Talk PH is a small community in the Philippines of geeks, 50 to 100 capacity events. They just concluded their third event with us. They're gearing up for another one. They love our product. They said they're receiving payments that otherwise they would not have before because of Snack, just like Maya, GrabPay, PayPal, local debit, credit, and whatnot. Paper Society is a convention, 1,300 capacity next month. They already started their pre-selling on Snack. They said our transactions are smooth and pretty straightforward. Geeks on the Beach is a startup conference, one of the original conferences in the Philippines, startup. And they've been playing around with our system. They said, Snack, thanks, Silas. It's easy to navigate. So we want to repeat and multiply these positive experiences across the Philippines and across the region. But of course, we'll need help. We're fundraising 1 million for hiring, sales, marketing, operations. Also looking for teammates, full stack devs, co-founder, focused on biz dev. I was an ex-Googler, web developer, UI UX, engineering manager. I just recently onboarded a business developer, Abby. She's very well versed in the Philippines, and she's done a few startups of her own, being recognized for many of them, like Alibaba Global Initiatives alumni. She met Jack Ma in person. My advisors from Kaya founders, Paulo Campos. Zalora is one of the first e-commerce in the Philippines that he started. Liza Gakongwei, Summit Media, one of the biggest digital media publishing company in the Philippines. And that's Snack. We think about ticketing so you don't have to.
Thanks a lot, Silas. Gonna take the questions?
Sorry, maybe I didn't quite understand it. What exactly is the tech differentiation that you have as compared to the established event organizing or ticketing company? I mean, I saw UX, UI, and payment channels. Are you envisioning something else to truly disrupt this space, or do you feel that that would be enough?
That's the foundation, but we also have innovation in our back pocket. For example, right, when we get to those Taylor Swifts and the Coldplay concerts of the world, we can guarantee that our site will always be up. Our site will be reliable instead of crashes, which is common with this type of ticketing system. We also are thinking about using AI for our customer support. And we've been experimenting on like training our AIs to do customer support in the Philippines or wherever it may be.
Go ahead. Take my.
No, maybe just curious to hear your thoughts, right? I mean, given that the business model today is primarily driven on a volume-based model, right, where you take 4% out of every transaction that goes on the platform itself, and given that we just came out of a pandemic, right, I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. If the event where something like this happen again, like how would you mitigate that? Because I think there were some companies at least that we actually came across, right, during the pandemic itself, due to this particular business model itself, there was zero revenue essentially, right, and they struggled really badly during that period of time. So just maybe some of the key learnings from the pandemic. Just curious to hear like how will you mitigate that?
That's a very good question. I thought we're all past the pandemic already, but you know, another one can definitely pop up. What the companies that we saw would switch to online events, right? Online concerts and whatnot. And we hope to, you know, be able to support those as well when something like that happens again.
But how much of that, I mean, given that we came out, I mean, offline events are back today, right?
Yeah.
I think we see a lot more shift towards offline events, right, where the larger demand is. Let's say come to a concert, take Taylor Swift for an example, right? I'm sure people are much willing to pay more for an offline event than an online event itself. So just try to understand the market size in that for that two particular segment, right? Online and offline.
Mm-hmm.
If you pivot all the way to online, how much would it affect your business essentially?
I'm not sure yet, actually. We're very early stage. These are first three of our organizers, just started like 3 months ago. But I think a model would be like, you know, definitely leveraging online when it comes to another pandemic type of event. I don't know the numbers specifically, but that would be our strategy.
Yep. So I'll just put a bit more. I'll just put some thought on in terms of the business model. So it's just not purely volume driven. Maybe there's other ways of form that you can potentially make money on that might help you to get through in the event where something like that happens as well. So.
Definitely. Oh, was that a question?
Those are some of the key learning that we saw from some of our portfolio companies. So I'm just wondering if that might be helpful for you. Yep.
Yep, I believe so. Yeah.
Next question from the floor.
So you've got a few events already, I saw on your website, and these are how many PAX events roughly?
So
like less than 100 people, or?
Yeah, one was 50 to 100. The other one was 1,300 capacity convention. The other one is 300 to 400 capacity.
And then the distribution of the tickets is like you can send a PDF to their email, to their WhatsApp. You can do like the.
It's an email.
Email
tickets. Yeah, QR codes.
At the moment, only email tickets. Do you also do the wallet? What is it called? The Apple Wallet thing? And
we don't right now. We just email the tickets.
Okay, okay. You plan to do that?
If it makes sense, yes. You know, it's another technology that we will look at for our customers.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other question for Snack? Yeah.
So I run a software as a service for e-commerce and have been in OTA before. I guess the question is, how do you differentiate with other e-commerce offering like Shopify? You make a .com, sell tickets, and so on, because they also have local payments, local everything, right? So
I guess one big differentiator is we're solely ticketing. Those other ones are e-commerce. They have other products than ticketing, so that's one. I think I've used. So you mentioned Shopify, right? They're also supporting tickets as well. I think those are more for seller-specific events. Perhaps it's not like a platform for selling tickets. So it's just like a shop selling tickets for their events, individual vendors.
Any other question?
Yeah, eventually ours will turn into more like a marketplace or a showcase for events, where we reach a critical mass of events. We'll create a showcase so you can filter and find events eventually.
Time for one last? All right, that's a wrap. Thanks a lot, Silas. You know the drill by now. Please connect to your Mentimeter. We'll put the question right now. Back time. First question is rolling. Please answer. 3, 2, 1. Next question. How well does the solution fit the problem? Should be showing on your screen. Please vote. All right. You got the gist now. That goes fast. All right. Next question. How profitable could Snack become? All right. 3, 2, 1. And now this should. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And now it's time for a real snack. And we're going to take a little break, 10 minutes. And you have coffee at the back. You have the bathroom over there. Stretch your legs. We're in for another 4 good startups. So please stay around. But enjoy that to just refresh your spirits a little bit. See you in 10 minutes. All right. Show must go on. Can you please go back to your seats? We're going to get the second part of this adventure going. And I'm going to ask Drew to come over.
May I ask for all of us to be seated? Just wait for.
Hi, it feels good to get the.
So I hope all of us have had a good break. So the next startup will be Kash Kounter by Dhruv Shankar. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dhruv, and I never pay full price for anything. What can I say? I love a good bargain. I'm the founder of Kash Kounter, a South Asia-focused rewards platform that pays shoppers for purchases and drives customer loyalty for brands. Look, over the next few minutes, 5-7 minutes, I'm going to say the words affiliate marketing a lot, okay? So let's just get familiar with the concept. We are introducing affiliate marketing to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Now, the concept of affiliate marketing is not new, but it is very new to these 3 countries. The way it works is that Kash Kounter, myself, we partner with e-commerce, food delivery, and travel brands as a cashback affiliate. These brands then pay us a commission on every order we refer to them. We keep a percentage of that commission for ourselves and pass the rest on to users in form of a cashback. So that's the concept. That's how the business works. Now the opportunity is what we're looking at here. In Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, brands spend 0% of their marketing budgets on affiliate marketing. And the reason for that is simple. There are no affiliates to invest in. Not yet. Okay? For context, in developed markets, brands spend over 10% of their marketing budgets on affiliate marketing. I have first-hand experience from Lazada, Daraz, and a couple of other Alibaba businesses. I used to be the head of affiliates at Alibaba for the last 4 years. This is what it looks like, the marketing mix looks like in a developed market, in a developed country. So let's look at the challenges and the solutions that Kash Kounter is bringing to the table. The first challenge is that brands currently spend all their performance marketing budgets on Google and Facebook. All right? We're coming in, launching Kash Kounter as an affiliate channel and a new performance marketing channel to invest in. The second challenge is that marketers are restricted to click or impression-based models. We bill users, we bill our marketers on a conversion-based model. It's a pay-per-sale model. You only pay me if you register a sale. If your customer sends the order back, too bad. You don't have to pay me for that. So it's this win-win model that makes the barrier to entry for an affiliate business very easy. And lastly, there are very limited retention marketing channels to invest in. Marketers, brands in these countries simply don't have a retention engine to put their money into. This is where Kash Kounter comes in, and we're building for the long term using audience data as a very, very key focus area in building a retention model for our customers. So the value prop, I think I've covered most of it on the brand side. We increase purchase frequency. We only, the brand only pays for confirmed sales, and then they get to amplify their campaigns and promotions. However, on the shopper front, it's really very simple. We're helping people save money. These are price-sensitive markets where a discount goes a long way. People love deals, and that's exactly what we're giving them. We offer the ability to withdraw savings into a wallet or your bank account, and then use that to make whatever other purchase you like. And there's literally no downside. Like, this is a lot of work for me and my team. But man, is it awesome to be a customer right now. You've got brands, you've got banks, credit cards. You've got all of these people throwing money at the customers. And then you've got Kash Kounter who comes along and aggregates the whole thing, surfaces the coupon code, searches for the coupon code for the customer, and then gives them a cashback. It can't get better if you're a consumer right now. I put this slide up here for you to get a sense of the opportunity size. All right? So obviously Bangladesh is the biggest market in my portfolio. But what I want you to take away here from this slide is the growth trajectory. It's a classic emerging market play. Along with internet penetration, literacy, mobile penetration going up, this line will go up and to the right consistently. Bangladesh was one of the few markets in the world that actually grew during COVID. And that's why we are focusing on Bangladesh first. Along with online retail, along with travel, and along with food delivery. With them, when Kash Kounter will grow. Because we are on a mission to become an integral part of the shopping experience in these three countries. This leads us to our goals. At the end of 4 years, we want to refer 5% of all e-commerce, food delivery, and travel orders. We want to earn 5% commission on each of these orders. And that lands us at a number of $27.7 million in ARR. In terms of timeline, I quit my job at Alibaba in April and started Kash Kounter. Since then, we have incorporated in Singapore, in Bangladesh, we've built our MVP, and we're set to launch. One important thing I'd like to call out is a partnership that we did with Alibaba and two brands at Alibaba, Daraz and AliExpress. So I'm going to skip my GTM strategy, but I can do that in the question section. But we're currently raising. We're raising $300,000 to invest in product, commercial, and governance.
Question?
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
And that is me. happy to take any questions you have.
I mean, I actually love to understand a little bit more about GTM.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Lovely. Let me go back and show the slide that I was asked to jump. All right. So my go-to-market strategy. Okay, there's 3 pillars. Okay, there are 2 customers here. There's the B2B customer and the B2C customer. We're very focused on building supply first. Okay, we're building a flywheel. We get the brands, we get the merchants on board, and then the customers will follow. So we're focused on 2 aspects on the B2B side. One is building international merchant supply, folks like AliExpress, Booking.com, Agoda, who we already have, and a few more. So whoever is international, but selling to an audience in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or Nepal. So that is one kind of B2B customer. The second is local merchant supply. There are local travel engines. There are local e-commerce players. We want to bring them all on board. So that is our B2B go-to-market strategy. On the B2C side, once we acquire the merchants, we then aggressively market and acquire each merchant's online audience, right? So it's very specific. And the way we do that is also through pure growth marketing. We don't intend to go all out and start painting buses and whatnot. This will be an online marketing play. And the way we do this is by going after merchants and amplifying their already existing promotions.
From your balance sheet, you do performance marketing?
Yes.
Essentially is the plan.
Yes.
Other question?
I see someone there.
There's one on the panel, and we'll go for the. Go ahead.
Curious to understand why is there 0% performance marketing?
It's not 0% performance, it's 0% affiliate marketing.
I see.
Yeah. So brands are currently spending, but they're only spending on Google and Facebook. And that is because these countries have been in acquisition mode. They're still emerging, right? They're still getting there. So they've been very acquisition-led. They're spending money. It's not like they're not spending money. They advertise on Google and Facebook, but it's time for that spend to diversify. Let's go beyond that, right? So that's where affiliates have not yet taken off as a channel. My job at Alibaba was to unlock value from the affiliate channel. I used to be the head of affiliates at Lazada, doing Southeast Asia, and then I moved on to Daraz to build the affiliate business for South Asia. And when we built that, we saw that, look, this is an awesome piece of technology we've released. We're helping people make money, but the entrepreneurs on the ground have not really been able to do much with that tech. There's no point having a massive affiliate program if there's nobody to pay that commission to. So that's when I took a step and said, look, if nobody is able to build it, maybe it's time for me to do it. That's how it works. Yeah. Yes.
Hey, Drew, how are you? Congrats on your founder's journey. Curious to know, it sounds like you're more on the offensive strategy right now, entering these markets where affiliate marketing isn't really at play. What is your moat, and like how does this differ from any competitors that currently exist? And then what does that defense strategy look like if they were to start coming into markets that you're penetrating at this point?
Sure, thank you. That's a great question. 2 questions, if I may. But how are we different from other similar businesses in other countries? Yes, Rakuten does this beautifully in the US. Shopback does this in Southeast Asia. Look, fundamentally, all cashback engines, all affiliate businesses are similar, all right? Our business model is largely similar. However, what we do have with Kash Kounter is that we have a solid first mover advantage, and we're going to run with that. And that sounds like a cool thing to say, but honestly, what's going to give me the legs to run with that is I'm just going to refer to my own pedigree as a marketer a little bit. Look, I've grown up doing affiliate marketing. I've spent the last 11 years as an affiliate marketer, but being an affiliate marketer is a subset of being a growth marketer. Okay, I've only been able to spend 15% of Daraz, Alibaba, Lazada's marketing budgets because I was driving 20% off the GMV through this channel. And the only way you can do that is through marketing efficiency. So the way I intend to grow this business is through growth marketing, but with a real focus on the dollar, all right? I think, if I may be bold enough to say, I have grown up in the trenches at, when I say Groupon India, that was actually Rocket Internet, which just threw us into the deep and said, go build an e-commerce company, right? Go build a deals company with very little money. So I think I have the experience and the knowledge of how to squeeze a lemon and just get the most out of it. And then after that, we'll boil the peels and make some tea or something. But the idea is to get the most out of your marketing expenditure. And how does that moat get bigger? We build trust with local merchants. And yes, maybe someone wants to come in and give us a run for our money, but by building that trust and getting them in there early and just signing all the merchants in the market and acquiring customers on the backs of those merchants, I think we'll be in a good place. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Yeah, it's working. A couple of quick questions. So
Sure.
are you building out your own tracking platform? Are you using third party for that? And secondly, what are your retention strategies?
Okay, excellent question. In terms of tracking, there are two ways we're doing this. The large brands have their own affiliate programs, so we're using their tracking. Alibaba has their own. We're working with AliExpress and Daraz. We've got deep integrations with them directly. The affiliate business, the industry is so big that there is a network element as well. So there are lots of affiliate networks as well. And then we're plugged into 4 of them. So through these networks, we've been able to get guys like Booking.com, Agoda, so on and so forth. Now, to your question, what do we do with the guys who don't have the tracking or the program, right? That is an add-on business. We have the ability to build that. It's not difficult. Like I said, affiliate tech has been around for a long time. And that we intend to sell that as well to a brand who does not have it. So if you don't have your affiliate platform or you don't have an affiliate program, that's easy. We can set that up. So there are lots of tools out there in the market. We'll use one of them. And retention, yes. Retention in this business, I love it because, look, we're in the business of greed, okay? We're giving people discounts. I may be a loyalty program, but that customer is not loyal to anyone. The customer is loyal to their wallet. So my job is to make sure that the deals are really, really good. And it's just that we want to be surfacing the best deal at any given time. If I really go out there and say, hey, these are 5 deals that are flashing right now, and we want to sell, and they're the best deals in town, they had better be those. And we do that because we align forces very closely with the marketing teams at each of these companies. So to give you context, Daraz, Alibaba, AliExpress, they change their banners on, maybe 100 times a day, right? But it's all very smart. Now, they have the smarts, they have the audience, they're able to personalize what's showing on the site. I just don't have the data yet. Once we have traffic, we intend to use that user behavior to personalize what's showing on the site and just surface the best deal, the best coupon at any given time. That's it. We will be giving people money, and they will come back for that repeatedly. Very confident of that.
Right on time. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you.
You guys know the drill. Please give your feedback. First question is in the back. Talk about the problem. All right. Answer to the first question. All right. 3, 2, 1. Second question. All right. Solution. All right. 3, 2, 1. Third question. All right. That's a wrap for Kash Kounter. Thank you very much. And next is AetherIoT.
Yeah, so the next startup is AetherIoT, and the presenter is Vincent Xu.
Hi, everyone. Hey everyone, my name is Vincent. My co-founder over here, Greg. So we are founders of AetherIoT, focused on indoor real-time tracking. So think of this like an Apple AirTag, except for industrial asset and people tracking. So we're putting this on hundreds, if not thousands, of people and pallets in warehouses, on wheelchairs in hospitals. And if you look at the market or the state of indoor tracking for assets and people today, it's highly, highly manual. So literally someone going around with a pen and paper or with a handheld scanner. And that leads to a lot of inefficiencies. So on the asset tracking side, for example, an average hospital is losing $3 to $5 million every single year from misplacing or losing assets. And then you have hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers who are getting injured on the job when they accidentally go into hazardous areas. And so for us, the transition to a automated real-time tracking is all but inevitable. In fact, if you're to look at literally any third-party think tank or research report, it'll tell you that the market is growing exponentially. So the global spending on real-time tracking is increasing 25% year on year from a $6 billion market today to over $30 billion by 2030. That means by just capturing 0.3% of the market, it will allow us to reach 100 million plus in ARR. Now, with the universe of increasing number of customers ready to spend on the technology, they're looking for solutions that are as easy to deploy as possible, meaning two things. So number one, no cabling, which is understandable because you don't want hundreds of meters of wiring going in and out of your buildings, invasive to the building infrastructure. And number two, solutions that are easily integrated with their existing system of backend and other devices, other smart devices that they might be using. But actually, 95% of the market today composes of players that have been around for a while, and they're still deploying incumbent solutions that are heavy wiring. Another 4% are players that might be more relatively newer, and they're starting to deploy battery-operated or no wiring technology. But these technology is still very hard to integrate because every smart device, including the phones in your pockets, are communicating via a different protocol, a language, if you will. And a lot of the customers still have to go into the weeds to technically understand how every device works and where to integrate it with their backend. So there's still that integration pain point, even for battery-operated players today. This is why for our solution, it rests on two main tenets. So number one, battery-operated devices, no wiring. Number two, a middleware where we take all the data, we consolidate it and turn it into a common standardized language that's easily integrated with any third-party system. And this is what we call a truly hassle-free deployment. And by doing so, we've been able to drop the deployment time by 60% or more for our customers. Now, in this kind of hyper-growth market, realistically, you'll make money just by being in the space. But the players who can grab share the fastest, the players who can scale the fastest is ultimately going to be the winners. And we are confident that with our hassle-free deployment, we will be that winner. Looking at monetization, we make money in two ways. Number one, a one-time upfront hardware fee from selling our hardware. And number two, a recurring SaaS from the integration middleware. And we go to market through our network, increasing or growing network of system integrators that allows us to maximize growth because every SI that we work with opens the door to dozens of new customers. And every time a customer needs on-site support, they're the ones that provides that tactical support. On the revenue front, so year one was last year. This year is year two. We've been able to 10x our revenue with just 2 FTEs, reaching break-even point. Next year, with looking at run rates, a conservative estimate, we'll be able to double our revenue and hit net profitability. But with the $1 million investment, which is what we're seeking today, we'll be able to take our growth from 2x to 6x, ending the year at $800,000 in revenue. So this is a team, Gregory and myself. Gregory has 25 years of experience in the space, including previously co-founding an outdoor real-time tracking company that was sold for over $100 million. And now together, we see indoor tracking as the next huge opportunity. And for myself, I used to work at Google, so leading the Android team, and played a pivotal role in taking the Android One program from 0 to over 30 million device sales in 3 years. We're super stoked to be here today, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Right on the cut.
Could you spend a bit of time talking? Thanks a lot, Vincent. Could you spend a bit of time talking about the technology behind what you are able to do?
Yes. So, Christine, our technology composes of two tenets, right? So, number one is the hardware, and the hardware is our value prop. There is that everything is battery operated, whereas 95%.
Is it like radio frequency? Is it what
it's-
exactly?
Yes, it's using Bluetooth technology to create a mesh network. So any of the data that we can collect through the sensors, temperature, humidity, air quality, can be transmitted. So imagine that you are creating a very low power, similar to Wi-Fi, but of course Wi-Fi is too battery powered, hungry. So this is a very low power for low data rate of transmission of sensor data up to the platform, as well as remote commands and configurations from the platform to the devices. At the same time, it also provides a level of triangulation to give you positioning. It gives you like an indoor GPS. So yes, it's wireless technology.
Next question. From the floor. Hold on. Can hear you.
Can you speak a little bit about split between SaaS and hardware?
Yes. So you're asking about the revenue. Is that correct? The split between SaaS and hardware? Okay. So I think this slide might be helpful. When we look at a revenue model, two things. Number one-time upfront fee for hardware. Let's say on average $35 per device. Number two, integration middleware, about $12 per device per year. And so actually in year 1 and 2, most of the revenue is coming from these initial deployments of hardware. But over time, every set of deployment we have, every hardware we sell is going to be up for average of 4 years or more. And so even though in the first couple of years we're deploying hardware, so that's a lot of the revenue, but over time, in the long term, SaaS is taking 60% of our revenue.
Just wondering about so the different categories that you listed on your website. Where's your best initial traction, and also in terms of the sales cycle, do you see any significant differences in sort of focus areas of where you're going to go first?
Yes. So maybe this slide could be helpful. Essentially, when you look at the market, the underlying Bluetooth technology is all the same, right? It's a matter of maybe form factors that could be different. So regardless of what industry, and we have had customers from all 3 industries, but when we do a strategic analysis, we find that there's 3 main buckets to consider. Bucket number 1 are industries that require hyper customization, mostly in terms of certificates that you would need. So for example, in construction, you need things like explosion proof and stuff like that. So hyper customized, and the market size is not that big. So we're actually deprioritizing markets like that. Now, the next 2 markets, the first one is about 15-20% of the overall market. So these have, again, we're working with SIs here. And so these SIs are newer, smaller, more hungry, able to move faster. And that's actually where 2/3 of our revenue is coming from. An example of that are smart buildings. And that could include airports as well, which are some the projects that we're working on right now. And then the larger 65-70% of the market are actually these more conservative, longer-term industries like supply chain. We do have customers from there, but these customers take a long time to 9 to 12 months. And right now it's just Greg and I. So a lot of our focus is on just moving fast, executing, getting revenue in our bank. But once we raise, we're able to bring on new members, new BD members and stuff like that. We'll be able to invest more into this third bucket of the 65-70%.
But even sorry to be specific, even going a bit deeper, I mean these are still kind of header categories. But I mean I'm guessing at some point you want to kind of find product market fit in certain niches or sub niches, and then I mean because otherwise you're gonna at the moment I think I really respect that it's just you two and that you kind of break even at a reasonably small 6-digit revenue. That's cool, right? I think that you see that rarely, and I really respect that. But then how do you drive product market fit and move away from founder-led sales if you don't really know which categories exactly are going to work? So I think this is great, but then going one step lower, do you think it's, I mean, just looking here, is it medical first? Is it blue-collar workers first? Which of these? Because they're still very, very different industries, right?
Yes. So right now we're seeing a lot of traction in healthcare and in smart buildings. And so these are the industries that we've been going hard after. But in fact, we spend $0 on marketing. We've been running these free webinars, and a lot of customers are coming to us. So we're almost like, we have too many projects on our hands that we can't even execute them all, just with just the 2 of us. And they're coming from all these industries. So right now, it's a bit difficult to say, hey, you know what, we're going to focus on this one small industry. And actually, from what we've seen in the space, people that focus on just one industry do not tend to scale very well. Because again, the underlying technology is the same. And you're welcome to come to our booth later where we show you sort of the hardware devices and such.
Yeah, so just to add to that, we focus very much on the operational technology, which means that we're collecting the sensor data from the physical world with the location data going into our platform, which we then transform into application message, which is understandable through JSON. So it's application to application integration. Now, we don't focus that much on the business application because we work with business partners. There's so many software vendors out there. They're great companies. There's SAP, there's ERP, there's Oracle, there's building management company. We don't need to reinvent the wheel for that. So they already have that vertical focus. The OT layer is common. So the same technology can fit into healthcare, can go into construction, can go into say aerospace, oil and gas, and things like that. There's not much difference because the differentiation is in the business application, which we work with software partners around the world.
Got it, thanks.
Next question.
To just follow on that part, you mentioned there's a whole bunch of software players, but there's a whole bunch of hardware players that are also providing the IoT devices that you have, right? So, because I got a bit confused whether you're just a pure middleware player, but it seems like everything is dependent on the client installing your hardware.
No, we don't. So one of the biggest mistakes around a lot of hardware vendors is that they are pretty closed loop. So, they are vertical solutions. Today, when you go into smart buildings, the systems don't talk to each other. Now, what we try to do is to try to leverage on existing hardware, but at the same time, we also develop our own proprietary hardware when there's nothing on the market. So we take third-party products, we build our own products, we aggregate them into a middleware, so that one of the issues with a lot of IoT projects is that, they look at them in silos. But at the end of the day, you need to leverage on a infrastructure that can, meet all the various requirements. You might start off with a simple, people tracking, but later on you want to monitor your air quality and all that. These systems do not need to, today work individually in silos. And what we're trying to create is a partner ecosystem where you have a single network infrastructure that can address different needs from people, assets to environment condition monitoring.
So a bit of context on that, right? Right now, our hardware devices, we're selling it that's satisfying 90% of our customers. All that data goes into our middleware, but there's going to be a point in the future when the customer might say, you know what, we can't just use your hardware. We have to use other devices, pre-existing devices, whatever else. And for that, what a lot of players in the market do, the ones that are very siloed, they say, you can't do that. You have to use our hardware, middleware, software, everything. If you want to integrate something else, that's just not possible. Right? What we're saying here is that we have this middleware layer where you take our hardware, you can use it, but if you want to use any other device as well, just integrate it with our middleware, and you can use that. So from that, we're actually making money from the middleware in the process. And every time we integrate more into our middleware, it becomes a stronger, more powerful platform. So you can imagine in, let's say, 4 years from now, let's say our middleware is integrated with 50% of other devices and systems in the market. Customers can come to us, they can buy our hardware devices, or they can just go straight to our middleware, purchase that, and that's going to save them weeks and months of trying to integrate things themselves. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, so on the top end, we partner with software companies to provide that business application. At the bottom end, we work with various hardware partners to try to leverage on their products and bring them into the platform and ecosystem. So, we now have, and that's how, we can leverage on a win-win situation, to have, because there's no one single company that can build all the sensors in the world to meet the various requirements. So the more hardware that we partner with and all that, the bigger, we have a solution to meet the customer requirements.
So I guess the core here is I'd like to know what makes your company platform and software the choice for SIs. Is it specifically around how agile you are, and secondarily, how your middleware is constructed? Are there specific bullet points you nail down to say, this is why we're successful with the SI engagements?
Yes, one is an open infrastructure that we don't lock you down. We always go into, we advocate a best of breed hardware devices. We work with various hardware vendors, not a single hardware vendors. So in fact, if they don't like our hardware that we offer, we can offer them an alternative, even a competitor's product onto the platform. At the end of the day, it's not the hardware that I'm interested in. The hardware is enabler. Just like a telco company. I mean, I need the mobile phones, but I'm not going to make money from the mobile phones. I need the hardware device to enable the SaaS model that I'm trying to bring. At the end of the day, what I'm interested in is to build a platform where I can, charge a monthly recurring revenue, a stack on revenue, month on month. The hardware to me is not the key critical component. It's an enabler.
All right, it's going to be the last word. Thank you. Wrap up. Good job, guys. Let's go to Mentimeter. I'm going to launch the first question. All right. Please answer the first question. Importance of the problem. 5, 4, 3, 2. Second question. How good is the solution? Three, 2, 1. Last question for AetherIoT. Profitability. All right. That's going to be it for AetherIoT. We're going to call the next startup. All right.
So next we have Dobin, and the presenter is Khalid.
Bringing Dobin, sorry.
Thank you.
Because I think you left with a clicker, no? Ah, no, it's here. See if it works first. Okay, it works. Cool.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully everyone is still awake. I'm Dobin. So at Dobin, we are reinventing the path towards financial well-being. Let's unpack what this means. So this is Jen. So Jen is a Singaporean. She's a freelance copywriter. She has 4 credit cards, and she's in the rewards game. She never misses using promotions when she shops at her preferred brands. Lately, she's been very stressed. She's busy at work. She doesn't have time to keep track of her expenses on a spreadsheet. She's bombarded every day with hundreds of merchant offers. And she's about to get married, but she cannot get a loan to cover the expenses. Meanwhile, businesses that we all know about are struggling as well. Banks are trying to sell a very wide range of credit cards to a very small number of customers. Merchants are trapped in the game of providing discount offers to people to keep them engaged because they expect that. And lenders are unable to grow their loan books because they don't have the data to lend to new customers who haven't borrowed before. Is this specific to Singapore? The hard data suggests otherwise. The underlying trends that are fueling this friction are common across Southeast Asia. What is this? What is the root cause of all of this? At Dobin, we believe we call it actually the data gap. The financial data is all over the place. It's not being aggregated. It's not being used and harnessed properly. As a result, people are being underserved. And businesses are underserving their customers. The solution is Dobin. So who are we? We basically call ourselves a smart middleman. We sit in the middle between consumers and businesses. And what we do is we bring all the data together. We use open finance. And then we apply advanced analytics, namely AI, to extract value from it. Why we do that is because we want to curve supply and demand. How we do that? On the consumer side, we have the Dobin app, which allows users to consolidate all their accounts in one place. Pretty common use case. Lot of players do that. But then what we do is, if they opt in, we help them prove their value to the other side of the ecosystem by building advanced insights, which we call profiles. So the credit profile, a user's credit profile helps them prove their credit worthiness to lenders to get a loan or to get a better interest rate. Their purchase profile helps them prove their purchase power to brands to get a personalized discount offer. Their credit card profile helps them prove their profitability and engagement for credit card to get personalized recommendations. Now let's bring it to life. How does it look like? So the Dobin app promise is simple. We help users achieve financial well-being, which has been a promise made multiple times in multiple locations, but the way we do it is different. We excel on UX, which many people do, claim they do, but also on harnessing the data, on data analytics. Let's unpack it. The number one thing that we do here in Singapore, the app is live, you can try it, is you can connect 9 banks in parallel. You don't need to do it sequentially. And it takes less than a minute to do it for the top 3 banks. Second, once you've done that, we tell you the hidden story behind your data. Here, I'm being charged late fee payments because I haven't settled my credit card bill on time, which is pretty common. So banks make a lot of money with that. So Dobin tells me about that and tells me what I need to do about it. I set up an automated payment of my credit card bill so that I avoid paying late fees. It's $100 each time, by the way. Second, because Dobin knows where I spend, how I spend across all my accounts and credit cards, they surface to me the best offers that exist in the market, curated from 10,000 offers sitting in different platforms. Second, if I'm sharing insights from my purchase profile with brands that Dobin sources, then I get even higher discounts. Third, every dollar that I spend is put to work. Dobin tells me for each purchase which card I need to use from the ones that I have to maximize rewards and which cards I need to apply for to basically get the most value for my spend. Lastly, I can borrow at very attractive rates because Dobin builds my credit profile and sends it across to lenders. And if I'm new to credit, that would be the only way for me to get a loan. I'm being told that I'm almost out of time, so I'll skip through a few slides. So what is the value of bringing to the other side of the ecosystem? This is our other product that is targeted to businesses. The first one, and we help them get the right insights on customers. The first product we built is called the lender portal and the credit profile that goes with it. It allows basically lenders and banks know which customers are credit worthy by building their credit profile. We have our own credit score, which is proven, which basically is the highest predictive alternate credit scoring that exists in the market to allow underwrite people who don't have bureau information, credit bureau information. The opportunity is big. We are live. We launched the app 3 weeks ago. We're getting great traction here in Singapore with users. We have credibility. I built the data analytics business for Visa for 5 years in Asia Pacific and advised and sold the solutions to most of the major banks in the region. My co-founder, Erwan, scaled a consumer app to 150 million downloads. He's here in the room. And Gyan built actually the credit score of Experian in India. And he worked at FICO and a bunch of other well-known institutions. What we're looking for is our seed round, 1 mil, to basically drive growth and traction. Thank you. You can download the app here, and you can come and see us later if you want to see a demo of the lender portal.
Thanks for that. Question? Fires up.
Yep, thanks for the presentation. I think it's a great app for consumer to use and not just track the spending. But maybe just a couple of questions. One, just first of all, it's like which market are you going after within Southeast Asia today? If it's Singapore itself, I mean, given that you're going after some of the problem you're trying to solve is like the underserved consumers, right, who are not able to get like a bank loan or whatsoever, or even BNPL solutions. I'm not sure if Singapore is the biggest market to go after today, but curious to hear your thoughts as well. And second of all, how will you eventually monetize something like that? Is it through a percentage of the loan dispersed via the platform, or is there some other way that you would do it?
Thanks for the questions. So the first question is what market we're going after. So it's 6 markets in Southeast Asia, launching in Singapore first, and then we'll go to other markets, Malaysia, Philippines, hopefully Indonesia, and Thailand. The positioning of the app is slightly different depending on the market. There are 2 groups of markets in our, from our standpoint. The ones that are more mature with a large credit card base, credit card users base, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, and the emerging highly populated markets. The positioning on the first group of markets is a financial management app. And the second one is a credit access, credit management app. The functionalities are largely the same on both ends, but the credit risk aspect plays a bigger role in the emerging markets. So to answer your question around Singapore, the pain point we're solving for is not access to credit, it's aggregation of your financial information, obviously, which is a pain point. 50% of Singaporeans have 4 credit cards and 1 or 2 bank accounts. That's a lot of data sitting around. Second, credit cards for Singaporeans is very important. So we're automating recommendation of which card you need to use to maximize your rewards and basically to make sure that every dollar that you spend is put at work. And third, we want you also to use the most valuable merchant offers here in Singapore. So the monetization, to answer your question, it's we bring, the way we call it is qualified leads, leads with deep data insights, and we charge banks for credit card leads with those insights. Is the person going to revolve on the credit card? Are they going to be using this credit card as the 5th one or the first one? The good thing is we tell people that this is the best credit card for you, hence we're bringing someone who is motivated to use that card a lot. So banks are struggling with making the ROI positive on credit card leads because they pay the affiliate marketing platform upfront, but people end up not using the card, and hence the $200 of commission they paid is lost, is not recovered with the card economics. So to answer your question, access to credit is only on the emerging market that is a big opportunity for us.
Next question.
Maybe 2 parts to this question, given your customer segmentation. In the first part, are you getting the data directly from banks via APIs, or is there like a scraping mechanism that takes place?
Thanks for the question. So there are 2 ways to do open banking, which is access to data. So you know that, but for the rest of the audience, either it's screen scraping or direct APIs, and APIs has 2 legs, which is mandated APIs that banks put in place if there is a regulation forcing them to do that or mandating them to do that, or bilateral partnerships. And screen scraping has many technologies as well. You can scrape, you can tap into the private APIs, there are different things, different ways to do it. So to answer your question, in Singapore, we don't have direct integration with banks. We use data aggregators, like a few of them. We don't use just one. We don't rely on just one because we want to optimize for the best experience for each bank. But our vision over time is to build those bilateral partnerships. Our personal view is that the regulation is also going to be evolving. For instance, in Vietnam, there is a mandate for the banks to put APIs in place. And we see that trend. India has an interesting model where there are license aggregators that the regulator has backed. So we believe that the industry is gonna evolve. But what that means, screen scraping, first of all, it's allowed. But what it means is there is friction in the user experience. And what we did with Dobin is we tried to minimize that friction to almost 5% or 0. So try the app and tell us what you think.
And for the second part, when it comes to providing loans, how do you deal with the issue that a customer might only integrate or provide their financial accounts that are better in quality and hence try to tap into a loan and not a holistic credit bureau type database?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And the answer is we can see it in the data. So we harness transaction data, and there are some features in the data that tell us whether you're hiding accounts. For instance, if you have like for instance, our credit profile, and if you come around, we'll show you the demo, has different components: income quality, affordability check, liquidity checks, and account money movement on accounts checks. So we can score whether the person has declared or hidden accounts because we see money that goes out and in. We see the type of spend that is in there. Are there utility payments in the accounts that they have declared? Are they everyday spend transactions in there? Are they sending money to accounts that look suspicious? So we score actually whether they have declared everything or not. And then the bank can follow with suspicious cases.
Next question. On the floor.
Hi.
Hi.
You mentioned Southeast Asia, and there are different segments across Southeast Asia, right? And what's your target segment? Who are you going after? And what's your customer acquisition strategy or cost that you expect? And as you mentioned, your monetization is more on bringing a qualified lead for a loan.
Correct.
How do you match that?
All right, so there's a short and longer answer. So let me maybe give you an intermediate version of that. What are we going after are banked customers. And by banked, we break them down into two segments, fully banked and underbanked. We don't cater for non-banked customers because that's where the data sits. For the fully banked customers is 53 million customers across Asia Pacific, across Southeast Asia, 6 million here in Singapore, interestingly 8 million in Indonesia. So those are the fully banked carded people. And the pain point is around, credit card management, aggregation of the data, rewards, and so forth. So it's big enough as a border segment for us to solve for that money management needs. Then under bank customers, the primary need is beyond tracking the expenses and so forth is access to credit. And the way we enable access to credit is through the credit risk, credit profile that we build, which is predictive. We did this for the Mandiris of the world, for the BRS of the world, for Techcombank, for the big banks in our corporate jobs, and we know how to prove the lift of those scores. But it's not enough. There's also a tech component to it to make the unit economics work. We need to have a fully automated credit card digital servicing like what's happening in India. And that's our vision long-term for these markets. So we start with a marketplace model. We'll bring the credit risk profile to banks. We help them make sense of it, but then we'll issue digital credit card ourselves in a co-lending model. Lastly, in the here and now, and what we're doing in Singapore, that everyone is carded, 90% of the population. So there is no issue around access to credit as such. We focus on three segments: young jobbers, affluent millennials who carry a lot of credit cards, and young families. New jobbers, affluent millennials, and young families. These three segments have different needs. We know what those needs are. We conducted hundreds of user interviews, and through the few thousands customers we already have in our platform, we know a lot from the hard data that they're giving to us. And we're having interviews to get feedback from them.
Thank you. That will be the final question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Feedback time. Going to Dobin. First question is coming on the screen. No, hold on. Not yet. There you go. Okay. First question is now. You can answer it. How important is the problem? Dobin shy. All right. Give you another second. While connecting. All right. Answer the first question for Dobin. And 3, 2, 1. Second question. How good is the solution, according to you? Three, 2, 1. All right. Last question. Profitable could Dobin become? Got this. All right. And that's it for Dobin today. And we're going to move to the next startup, Rabbit. Guys, if you can come on board.
Yeah, so this is our last startup for the day, Rabbit.
Cool. Good guess on the 4:30. So, good afternoon, everyone.
Hold on a second. Putting your slide. You have a clicker?
Perfect. Okay, so I promise I'll be the last one. Good afternoon. My name is Balazs. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Rabbit, and I'm also the co-founder of Ellie's, which is a company that we bootstrapped to become one of the largest data and machine learning partner of Google Cloud, actually. And I'm also a recovering ex-Googler, so there's many of us here in the room. Let me ask you a quick question before we start. How many of you have to deal with cloud? Okay, a few. How many of you are happy with the cloud bill? You happy? Okay, so the data shows most of the companies actually not happy with the cloud bills. Cloud spendings are obviously ballooning, which is a good thing in a way that it means scalability, it means better user experience, it means more productivity, etc. But also there is another big promise of cloud computing, which is cost effectiveness, which is something that we see not coming true in the past 2 years. 75% of the companies who are actually migrating to the cloud are overspending their cloud budget. We migrated a lot of those companies, by the way, with my previous other company. And the bigger problem is that actually 32% of those cloud resources are waste. So that's a big issue. Basically, what happened with the advent of cloud, a lot of engineers got a lot of credit cards from the businesses that they can just start to spend on APIs. Consume APIs, happy days, no more servers, etc. Now, in the past 2 years, what happened is that a lot of CFOs, CEOs, and a lot of CTOs woke up to bills that are millions of dollars, and that was not expected. Now, if you ask Google Cloud friends here or any cloud friends, what is the talk of the town in the cloud world? Is it about selling more cloud or optimization? I'll help you. Of course, it's optimization. Everybody wants to optimize. Actually, Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, in the previous earnings also said that the problem of their earning is that actually customers are optimizing too much, which is the case. Everybody wants to optimize their cloud. The spendings are obviously ballooning, as I said. The problem with optimization is that it's a long and cumbersome project. Usually, it takes 1 to 3 months, and it's just a snapshot. It's never continuous. It's something that needs to be performed over and over again if you want to see if the stuff that you're doing is right. So we asked ourselves, can we automate this? Can we do this on a touch of a button? Can we do this continuously in a way that clients don't actually need to buy optimization and they don't need to worry about wasting their cloud resources? And the answer is yes. The answer is Rabbit, where we actually united and we were able to squeeze and build all the knowledge of our best cloud engineers in one tool that is continuous, that works 24/7, and helps to provide the most transparent picture on what is happening in each cloud. Rabbit is a flywheel, meaning usually customers come in with the need for optimization, but what it actually sticks is the control and the information that they get through using Rabbit on a continuous basis. You can come to our booth later and we show you how it works. Just 2 snapshots in how it works. The one on the right is actually a customer that we just signed up this week, and this is what they saw right away, that they can save $27,000 on a monthly basis on just one service on their Kubernetes cluster. That's more than half of what they're spending on a monthly basis. So you can calculate, this is like $300,000 saving right away. This was the first day that they started to use the product. This is another chart that shows Trivago, which is one of our key customer, big OTA, if you had never heard about it, German company. Basically, you can see that they use it on a day-to-day basis every day for the past 30 days. Rabbit is a fully self-service product. It's SaaS. We're charging on the monthly track cost, which means that the cost that we're tracking, the cloud cost that we're tracking, we are charging a fee on top of that, but it's fully self-service. We have 3 main go-to-market strategies. We are selling direct through our own sales channels and salespeople. We have channel partners, mainly other service integrators or other companies that are interested in or doing any types of cloud services. And we are also listed on the Google Cloud Marketplace. Since February, since we launched the product, we are tracking $20 million. Average deal size is about $2,000 per customer per month. We had about 3 new logos every month, and then we got 2 active channel partners and 3 more in the pipeline. We are listed on the Google Cloud Marketplace. Some of our key logos you can see over there. We would love to have you at our booth to show you the product and discuss how you can be part of the journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Badr. Question? Hello?
Thank you for the presentation. How does the business model work? Is it based on the amount, like the delta between what the original spend would have been, or the cost savings, or is it more seat based?
No, it's easier than that. So we basically charge 1.5 to 2% based on the track cost. So if your cloud spend is, let's say, $1 million, we charge 1.5 to 2% of that on a monthly basis.
But you're incentivized to bring that cost down. But from a revenue perspective, you're kind of happy to keep the cost up.
Yeah, I know. But so from the one hand, it is we are incentivized to keep the cost up. But at the end of the day, the value that we bring to the customers helps us to basically, or helps them to create new initiatives. And usually what we see is, even though in some cases the cost goes down, they launch new initiatives or they reallocate the spendings, especially a lot of our customers are actually in commit spendings. So they committed to multi-years or multi-million-dollar spending. And then what they use the product is to make sure that what they're spending is in the right place. So we haven't, yeah, I mean, theoretically, we would be incentivized to keep the cost up, but the model is different.
So just to be really clear, so you charge, is it all through GCP Marketplace, or I don't know if you work with AWS and the other guys as well?
GCP for now.
GCP for now. So it's all the billing goes through GCP and your cost is added on top?
It can be direct or through the marketplace. So if the customer buys it direct, then it directly pays for us. It's basically can be credit card or bank transfer. But if it's through the GCP Marketplace, it's basically part of the billing.
And it's billed monthly?
Monthly.
And it's just added 1.5 to 2. What defines the 1.5 to 2%?
Depends on the spending level.
So if they spend more, they
yeah.
lesser percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I mean, okay, I get Aaron's point, but I mean, at the end of the day, they'll just kill you off if you don't bring them savings, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, the model is basically that we provide transparency and savings. The reason is also obviously if we can't charge a flat fee, because obviously the larger the cloud that we need to track, the larger the cost that we have actually. So we need to have a variable part of the cost.
And the buyer is DevOps people mostly?
Yeah. Depends on who. So like there are different kind of tiers. DevOps is definitely one of the users. We had some of our hero features, for example, around BigQuery, which is the data platform. So we gotta work a lot with head of datas and then the data team or anybody who is in that space, like analytics. So there could be a subset of a larger cloud team. There could be the CTO. In smaller companies, sometimes we work with the CEO directly, or like companies where the CEO is more involved in the technology.
They're technical enough.
Yeah.
And what is, sorry, a couple more questions.
Sure.
So what is your average saving? I work in a video distribution for the last few years, and just so the company is based. I'm very familiar. We spend about $1 million a year on AWS.
Okay.
And Akamai as well, and we optimized a lot. So what is your average savings across all the I guess observed and improved cloud implementations?
So there is a ton of wastage right now. So as I showed you, this one is an actual customer data. So this is very high. So and it's one particular service, but we see about 30% when they come to the platform. But the point is that you won't see this kind of savings all the time unless you're not doing anything, obviously. So the point is, and this is why, for example, Trivago is using it in a continuous basis, because it gives you the transparency that you, like if you do it and you use Rabbit right, then your savings should be zero, because then you optimize everything. Obviously, some cases you don't want to save because your performance is more important, so you can actually decide where you want to put your money in. But yeah.
And then you have alerts and so forth that you set up to.
So
and roughly the revenue at the moment, if you don't mind sharing.
We're at $300,000 by the end of the year. That's the ARR.
Run rate.
Yeah.
At the moment. So 20, 30K a month.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, thank you.
I could see in your client logo list it's some pretty big hitters, right? Like Trivago itself, Scoot,
Yeah.
Prudential. These are all self-serve?
So
or do you have a separate enterprise solution versus for the bigger guys? And,
it's self-served, so it can work on self-served. But we got different teams that working with them from our other business on the service side. But overall, these are all self-served. So, for example, Prudential is a bit of an outlier because that's an enterprise. They are the only one which cannot be running on our own cloud, but need to be on their environment. But the rest of the clients for now, they are all self-served and they are all running in our own cloud. Obviously, if we have to put it in their environment, it's a bit more expensive, very different business model. We have actually an enterprise package which is larger than it's a different kind of price bracket than the rest of the tiers.
Next question. The floor.
Yeah,
All right.
happy to show you guys how it works. So then I think it gives you more insights. Thank you.
All right, and now yeah, sure. Please don't leave with the clicker, or we're not going to be invited again. All right, UnitedWorks, please give Rabbit the feedback. First question is on the screen already. Give you a second to. Did it work? Oh, okay. You're not on the right screen. All right, next question. All right, you all there? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Next question. Last question of the day. Maybe not. All right. And that's it for Rabbit. And that closes our round of startups. Can we go back on the main screen? All right. So that's it for today. That's a QR code party today. You've noticed we've burned your lenses. With this QR code, you can demonstrate your interest. That doesn't mean you're going to sign a check. You don't have to e-sign on the phone. But if you'd like to talk further to one of the startups and you want to make sure you have their contacts, we'll put you in touch, and then we'll get out of the way again. I'd like to thank especially our panel. Thanks a lot for taking the time today. We had Samin from 500 Startup, Arun from Monks Hill, Christine from EDBI, pleasure to have you, Kenneth from Jungle, and Milan, who has 2 hats, is already running away, Ascent Angels and Orville Ventures. Thanks a lot for taking the time, and to all of you for coming. And of course, don't leave. And we're gonna leave that. Well, actually, we're gonna leave that screen on so that you can use it. And for the rest, this is happening on the other side. We're gonna have a few drinks, a few delicacies, and do visit the booth of the startups. Tell them to show you how it works. Ask the question you didn't want to ask in front of everyone because it's super secret. And do take the business cards or your credit card out of your pocket. And thank you so much. Pleasure having you. And the last shootout I'd like to do is all the volunteers that have helped doing that. So from Chris, who is organizing this network, for the longest time. Amy, my co-host today, Richard, who's been setting up all the Mentimeters, Saif, who's been coaching startup. We have Annabelle, the investors fairy, and Karina over there, who was helping us with the comms as well, and we have some other people offline as well who couldn't make it. Arun, Greg, who's got COVID this morning, Dilini, who's designed the website. So there's a takes a village, they say, and we actually had a ton. So thank you so much, and again for the sponsors. And now up to you guys.
Thank you very much. And please enjoy yourself, and don't forget to see the startups.